Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Patrick L. Young back with another IPO video discussing some of the intricacies of investment and overall trying to allay your fears in these times of COVID-19 panic. Information. In these days, we all have access to digital data. Indeed, you're watching this somewhere on the dear old interweb, wherever you happen to be, in a hermit's cave, or possibly even one of those few people that still inhabit that very, very odd 20th century concept of the moment, the office. You're probably at home, perhaps in your den, watching the internet and enjoying these videos. Information is at your fingertips. You can go and use DuckDuckGo or Google or whatever is your search engine to find out all sorts of information about me, probably even about Toby the Pug, and indeed about companies you invest in. And there we reach the first nutty element of information. What information really helps us as an investor get what they call an edge? And an edge is where you have a slight inbuilt advantage over the next person. Now, you may like, you may loathe, you may be indifferent about investment banks and the sell side, as they call them, of the financial market universe. But there's one thing about those people: because they are professionals, because they work in markets every single day, and because, of course, they represent and deal with lots of different companies, they know a great deal of information. I don't mean that they know what we call inside information or material non-public information, to give it its technical legal jargon. What I mean is they just understand lots of things. They know what's going on in lots of companies. They read things like annual reports and all of the endless numbers of different pieces of information that companies post on the regulatory news services associated with their national regulators and their national stock exchanges on which they're listed. So therefore, they are remarkably well informed. And I want you to think about that pyramid of information. Because if you're a retail investor sitting somewhere, you're at the bottom of that pyramid of information. So far, doesn't sound too good, right? I agree. You do not have as much information as the market professionals have at their fingertips. It's just the same as, well, something like sport. You try taking your car out and racing against one of the top touring car teams or Formula One teams, you're never going to get anywhere. Not just because they happen to have all these purpose-built racing cars, but because they have huge amounts of knowledge and expertise to set up for particular circuits, particular scenarios, etc. So you have to be wise to dealing in an area where you can hopefully give yourself some sort of an edge, or at least shorten the edge to the other pieces of information. One truly great thing you can use to your advantage in order to manage to reap great returns is time. Buying things like stock, property, etc., and holding on to it for a long period of time means that you will ride out bumps and peaks and all sorts of cycles, and ultimately that should be going up. That's one way you can give yourself an edge. Another way you can give yourself an edge is by being genuinely very skeptical about the information anybody gives you. Probably all of us at some point in time have invested in a stock or a share on the basis of a tip. Well, tips can be quite useful. They can be quite fun if you're at the horse races and somebody says that horse is going to win and you go and put a few pounds of your money on it. However, as a strategy for putting all of the money that you happen to have saved for a rainy day, for your retirement, for whatever, it's not such a great idea to be relying just on hints and tips from other third parties. For one reason, think about it this way. If someone has such incredible knowledge about what some market is going to do that they are absolutely confident that it's going to go up from tomorrow, the next day, whenever, why are they telling you? Do they really like you so much? Do they really love you to such a degree that they're going to give you a piece of finite, honed information that may have taken them a huge amount of time to discern? I'm not always convinced. Therefore, I treat all information that arrives on my desk the same, with deep cynicism. Likewise, and certainly not to be snored at, even though Toby will at this juncture, think about what's in the media. Now, the media do a decent job overall. They try very hard to distill huge amounts of information, to put it in readable elements, and to give us information. However, while there are people who will read Sunday newspaper columns and believe that those are the gospel truth of the inside of everything that's going on in the financial marketplace, the simple truth is the information that they're peddling is something that's been handed down over 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe more different layers of contacts before it actually reaches you. Think about that for a moment, because let's face it, financial journalists get paid, yes, pretty reasonable salaries. Yes, quite often they get paid more than other journalists who are doing more mundane, less financially related beats. But nonetheless, they don't tend to have their own private jets, they don't tend to have their own massive yachts, and they don't tend to be multi-millionaire investors in their own right. Some of them, indeed, have in the past actually been accused of what they call insider dealing, which is they would buy the shares and then tell you that it's a great investment, at which point you would buy the shares and then they would sell you the shares back for a profit. Not very nice. Not all journalists do that, only a very, very tiny number of them, but nonetheless, you have to think about the quality of data and information that you are receiving and analyse it thus. And of course, while we're talking about that, bear in mind the fact that companies are there to give you information which fundamentally has the best spin on the company. Ha! In that respect, companies vary, and they vary widely, in how they deal with bad information. Some take it on the chin, stand up, say, we got something wrong, we're sorry, we're going to do it better again. They're in the minority. Lots of them try to ignore it, stick it under the carpet until there's such a lumpy rug that everybody's falling over it, or indeed people are arriving in the chief executive's office with crampons and mountaineering gear just in order to manage to reach in to get to a meeting. Not so good. Equally, there are companies that may just be frauds. They may turn around, lie about everything as they're going along, as a result of something which may have happened by accident, something which may have happened by design, who knows. But in all those cases, you need to be clearly very, very cognizant of the fact that every piece of information you are being given in the investment market is being handed out by someone who has some form of agenda in order to try and make you invest in something. That's not to say that all of that information is wrong, merely that you need to appraise, and you need to appraise judiciously, what you're being told, who you're being told by, and indeed also don't fall into the classic retail investor trap. When you read something in the newspaper, lo and behold, it wasn't only addressed to you. It was addressed to thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, and millions of other investors who can all read the same thing. And in fact, the stockbrokers, the stock market makers, all the traders and the company itself, they pay in order to manage to get huge, voluminous data sets addressed to them with all the information about who has been recommending a particular stock on what day, so that therefore they can gently mark the price up just a little bit more in order to manage to get a slightly higher price when they sell it to you because you read a tip in the daily blah blah. So, back to my point I made a few videos ago, trust nobody. Ladies and gentlemen, however you look at data, you must sift it, you must take responsibility, you must analyse it, you must keep reading, but at the same point in time, every piece of data you receive, you must view with a very conscientious and somewhat cynical attitude. I wish you a great day in life and markets on behalf of myself, Patrick L. Young, and Toby, the snoring pug today. Have a good one.